Hello, everyone. I'm Dijon.
I'm Amir.
Welcome to the
Why do you always edit me on that side? Like, I want y'all to know that y'all at home watching, I want y'all to know, right? On Zoom, I am on his right side. I'm on this side.
Not on mine. On mine, you're not. You're always on the left side.
Okay, on mine, I'm always over here. So like, I don't think I've ever watched like a full episode of our podcast just because I hate my voice and I hate the way I look on camera. But every time I see like a clip, I'm always on the opposite side. And it's just so jarring for me because I'm over here. I'm like, that's not where I am. I'm here. Like,
And welcome to the Cast, the podcast about the art of storytelling and how it's used across different mediums. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see our channel grow, and click the
hit that
notification
notification bell.
that you're notified when we post. Before we even start with what media we're consuming, we're gonna hop right into current events and talk about the fact that Derek Chauvin was found guilty of all charges on Tuesday, April 20th, 2021, for the death of George Floyd nearly a year ago. He was charged with second-degree unintentional murder. I don't believe that, but I'm pretty sure it was intentional. But and third-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter. So yeah, he's going away. It's one step of many, and since he went away, I have hope that so many others that have done things like this will go away. Like I literally watched a video on Instagram earlier of a police officer. I believe it looked like it might have been a school, but it was like a bathroom somewhere. And like this dude was surrendering. He was like telling him to get out the stall, and he got out the stall and he was surrendering.
I saw that.
You could hear him clearly surrendering, and then point blank, like 3 officers just started shooting at him. Like to the point to where the other dude that was in there, like pushed the officer's gun out of the way, like, "Hey, yo, chill, why are you shooting him?" And then thankfully, I couldn't tell. It didn't look like he got shot. He like just got on the ground. It didn't look like he got shot, but he could have. But it didn't like.
He did get shot. He died.
Okay. No, I'm talking.
And then they tried to say that it was
both of them.
What?
Both of them?
No.
Yeah, I was talking about. Yeah, there was a second dude that like pushed the officer's gun out of the way that got on the ground. I wasn't sure if he got injured as well. But
the first guy, he did die.
Yeah.
And the officers tried to say that he had a gun and that he shot back.
Yeah, no.
But he didn't. It turned out the officers
wound. I understand why they try this with cameras. They know they have cameras. They know they have cameras on their chest, but they still try it. And it's weird because they know they'll get away with it. Hopefully that's changing with what happened recently. But now getting into
I'm gonna mute myself because I got protests going on outside my window. So
well, you can, because what media you're consuming. It's your turn. You gotta go. Tell me.
Well, apparently I'm consuming this media of this protest going on outside my window. That's what I'm consuming right this second.
Well, I can't hear it, so people will probably not can't hear it.
Okay, if you can't hear it, then I'm gonna just keep going. But I can hear it. It's very annoying. So media I'm consuming. One, my favorite thing that I'm consuming recently, which I tried to get you into, but you refused to watch it, is Warrior on HBO Max, and it is probably one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. It's probably my new favorite TV show. This is like it's probably my new favorite TV show of all time. It's really weird because I was like writing an essay for college, and I was like, I always need something in like the background while I do something. And so I'm like, I'm just gonna I saw on Instagram they were like, "Oh, Warrior got renewed for season 3." I was like, I've never even heard of the show in my life, but I'm on HBO Max and I see an advertisement for it. So I was like, I might as well just play this in the background. And so I'm sitting there watching it, and I immediately become like engrossed. Like I was like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be writing my essay. I watched the entire first episode without typing a word from like the first 5 minutes.
I bring up Warrior on the podcast a few weeks ago when we were talking about Mortal Kombat. And I had planned on watching it a long time ago. It was like the day I had just renewed my HBO Max subscription because they were releasing a bunch of movies and stuff. And I forget where I saw it, but I saw something about Warrior and I was like, I'll check it out. And it was it's based off a show that Bruce Lee that Bruce Lee wanted to make starring himself, but of course he passed away and didn't get a chance to do it.
And it's super cool the way they do it because they make Andrew Koji, who plays Assam, who's the main character, they make him fight like Bruce Lee, like they make him emulate Bruce Lee's fighting style because he's supposed to be played by Bruce Lee. And oh my God, it's so cool to see. It is so cool to see.
The reason I'm bringing it up in that episode is because Joe Towsum, who plays Sub-Zero in Mortal Kombat, plays a character in that show.
He plays one of the main characters who's also like it's weird because he's a main character, but he's also an antagonist because like the main character is Assam, but he's also like he's like dating and in love with Assam's sister. It's hard to explain. It's without like spoiling everything, but it's so good. It is so good. So I've been watching Warrior, which you need to watch Warrior.
I'll watch it.
Okay. I really want to see like the team that does Warrior. I want to see them redo Iron Fist with that same cast and crew. Like that. Oh my god, that'd be insane.
Actually, I think another reason I bring it up is because like the stunt choreographer on Warrior also worked on Mortal Kombat, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
I have no clue. I just know that it's amazing. I've also been playing Breath of the Wild. I haven't been playing Breath of the Wild in like a few days.
When I get a Switch, I'm gonna be all over that game. That and Mario Odyssey.
Honestly, I like Breath of the Wild, but it's not as good as I thought it was gonna be. But like, honestly, in my eyes, ever since Link to the Past, every single Zelda game has been like a letdown in some way or shape or form. Like Link to the Past is just my favorite one. They're clapping now. Link to the Past is my favorite Zelda game, and every Zelda game. Like this is probably my second favorite Zelda game, but like if it's not Link to the Past, it's disappointing in some way. Which feels sad to say because like I wanted to play Breath of the Wild for so long, but
I think that Link's Awakening is better than A Link to the Past. I think that Link's Awakening is A Link to the Past, but better. It literally takes everything that A Link to the Past does well, and it does it better.
No, out of that era of Zelda games, Link to the Past is. I mean, out of every Zelda game, Link to the Past.
I think that's
out of that era specifically.
Of that style of Zelda games, I think that Link's Awakening is the best, and that Link to the Past is a close second.
No, Link to the Past is my number one. That's my number one right there. Like, I will never, nothing, no memories will ever be. Anyway, okay.
Awakening is my second after Breath of the Wild. But anyway, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I also finished Invincible, the comic book series. It was very good. I am now reading Chip Zdarsky or whatever his name is, the guy that's doing the current Daredevil run, where Elektra is Daredevil. That is very good. It starts. I don't understand why when it first came out, everyone's like, "Oh, it's the best thing at Marvel," because the first few issues were like slow. Like the first like 11 issues, I was like, "Why is everyone saying this is so good?" And the only reason I wanted to get through because I like Daredevil as a character, but I also really like Elektra. And we've talked about this a few times. I don't think we've ever talked about it on podcast, but off podcast, Elektra as Daredevil was one of my favorite concepts in Marvel. And like the costume looks great. So I'm like, I want to read up to that point. You know what I'm saying? I want to read up to where she becomes Daredevil. And I'm sitting here like, is it really worth it? Like, I'm like, is it worth like it's not great. I mean, there was like one really cool moment where Matt becomes the Punisher for a minute. Like literally becomes Punisher for a minute, and that was pretty cool. But like other than that, it was quite a drag. I'm finally getting to the good part. And I'm reading the current Nightwing run, which is always amazing.
Yeah, so, what is it? I follow the artist that's doing the current Nightwing run on Instagram, and the cover. Yeah, I was just looking at the covers. Covers look dope. Correct me if I'm wrong, but because this might have been an older cover and I just don't know, but it was one where it's like Robin climbing a building like in the old Batman show, but it's like every iteration of like
that's the current series.
Yeah, that was a cool.
That's for issue 80. Issue 80 hasn't dropped yet. It's only issue 79 or issue 78 and 79 so far, but that's for issue 80.
Yeah, I'll have to throw that image up on screen. But yeah, for me, I watched Hot Fuzz a few weeks ago for the first time. Technically, that's not my first time watching it. I never finished the movie, but I'd seen a lot of parts of it before. I finally watched it all the way through.
That's just so random. We're sitting here talking about martial arts and superheroes and video games.
Hot Fuzz.
Like, I watched Hot Fuzz. Like, what? Wait a minute.
It's a great movie. It's good.
It is funny. It is a really funny movie.
In some cases, it takes itself.
It just took me by surprise.
More seriously than I expected it to. I expected it to be a straight comedy all around, but sometimes it does take itself a bit seriously. But yeah, it was a good movie. I rewatched The Force Awakens. I really like The Force Awakens. I don't like the ending, but I like majority of that movie. I'm sad that where it went after that. But The Force Awakens itself is a good movie. Of course, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I started watching.
Oh yeah, I finished Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I started watching ReZero. I'm up to date. I'm on the current season, which is the second season. I actually watched the 21st episode earlier. There's going to be 25 in season 2. It's really good. It's isekai. I'm not really that big in isekai because the only one I've watched is Sword Art Online, and it wasn't good. Well, it was good at first, but then it got really bad.
The first season was great. The second season just like,
what happened? The second half of the first season that got really weird, and I was just like, okay, I'm not really into this anymore.
It got weird. And I can understand why people didn't like it, but I wouldn't say the second half of the first season was bad. It was just strange.
Because of that, I kind of just fell off isekai, and then the market became like oversaturated with isekai, and it was isekai everywhere, and I'm like, okay, calm down. And I just didn't watch many. And then people just kept saying ReZero was good, so I finally checked it out, and it is fantastic. It's actually really good. Actually, it subverts a lot of isekai tropes. Like a lot of them. It's great. Check it out for people who are in the isekai. Even if you're not, check it out. If it's the first isekai you watch, it's a great one to start with. Fruits Basket, been continuing to watch that. That's a good one. I heard some things because on the podcast I was watching, one of the people on that podcast watched the original version of Fruits Basket. The current one is a remake of the older one from like the early 2000s, something like that. And apparently it's a lot, it's gonna get a lot deeper than it is currently, because I'm still in like the early episodes. I'm in like episode 5 or something like that. I haven't been watching it that frequently. But now that I finished the next thing I'm talking about, which is I also last night finished reading all of Invincible. I'm sad that there's no more Invincible left for me to watch. I'm gonna read because man, is Invincible good, and it shot up there for me. Like halfway.
It's my third favorite comic book series of all time.
This comic is so good. I think it might be my third or second as well, bro. It's so good. Now that I'm echoing, that's weird. Well, anyway, now that I'm finished Invincible, now I'm probably just gonna binge Fruits Basket, because I'm like, man, what am I gonna watch? What am I gonna read? And then I'm like, okay, Fruits Basket, I'll watch that. I'll talk a little bit more about Invincible later. We're not gonna get too deep into Invincible because I want to save that for the next episode once the final episode is out for the first season. For animation,
the next episode is not going to be the final episode. It's whatchamacallit. There's going to be 8 episodes for the first season.
Yeah, next episode is the 8th episode.
No, next episode is the 7th episode. Last episode was episode 6.
No, next episode is the 8th episode.
No, bro. No, I'm not,
dude,
bro.
I will open Amazon right now and screen share and show you.
I'm opening it right now, bro.
Like, what, dude? Next episode is the 8th episode.
No, next episode is episode 7 because I didn't watch last episode. And I'm like, last episode is episode 6 because there were 5 episodes.
You're tripping, bro.
Bro, where's my... Oh, there it is.
I am right. There are 7 episodes.
Oh, no, you're right. Okay. Good job. All right.
And I don't know if I was tripping, but I watched it's supposed to release Friday, right? I've watched it. I watched it at 10 o'clock on Thursday. I was like, what?
No, it releases Friday 3 a.m. Like the same time. Everything releases at Friday 3 a.m.
Bro, I swear to you, I'll try it again this week. I swear I ended up watching it at 10 p.m.
I mean, if it releases 10 p.m. Thursday, then fine, because I literally didn't watch the episode because Mortal Kombat put me in a bad mood. So and I just still haven't watched it yet. But
so getting to the animation portion, Love, Death and Robots Volume 2 has been announced. I did not expect Love, Death and Robots to get a second season. It's an anthology animation series on Netflix, and it's great. Me and you talked about it before, how the dude who directed one of the animations called The Witness also did the first trailer for Watch Dogs Legion, which completely, I'm trying to think of a word. It gave a false view of what that game would be like. That game was not as good as that trailer was. That trailer was amazing.
I didn't even like the trailer. The trailer put me off from the get-go, and then I got the game, and the game was worse.
But yeah, it's gonna be on May 17th. If I'm not mistaken, this year. I guess we'll find out in a couple weeks. But Yeah, actually, it won an Emmy, which is dope. So yeah, excited to see that come back. There's gonna be a MODOK series animated by the same studio that does Robot Chicken. It's gonna be on Hulu. It looks interesting. I'll probably check out an episode or two. It'll probably be a funny thing to check out. It's mostly a comedy. It looks interesting. The final season of Castlevania is coming out May 13th. I'm excited for that. That's soon. The director of the show has teased. Well, Netflix teased it in an article, but Samuel Dietz, the director, kind of reiterated it on Netflix, saying they're very likely going to make a sequel series within the same universe, following a different Belmont and a different group of people, just like the video games does. Which I'm sure most people who know anything about Castlevania assumed that they would do that, especially with the popularity of the series. So that sounds dope. I'm excited to see them just go to a different Belmont. I don't know which one they'll go to because you don't want to drag it out too long because there are a lot of Belmonts. So they might skip Christopher Belmont, go straight to Simon Belmont, and then after Simon, go straight to Richter because those are the most popular Belmonts. Now, jumping into comics, just to bridge animation and comics quickly, Invincible, the animated series this time, but we'll also talk about the comic a little bit, is it's great. Like I said, we're not going to talk about it too much, but it's in both the show and the comic, some of the best things I've ever seen in my entire life. It's so good. It's something I never expected. I would have never really read. I'm mad that I got kind of spoiled, but if I didn't get spoiled, I probably would have never watched it. You know what I'm talking about at the end of that first episode. I saw it on Twitter, and I'm mad that other people got spoiled because that's a big twist that I wish people would have, just saw as they watched the show. But if I didn't get spoiled about it, I probably would have never watched it or read it. But I'm glad I did. It's wonderful. Every character in that series is flawed. Nobody's perfect. It's great. There are no Captain Americas. There are no Supermans. Everybody's flawed. Literally everybody.
Not just that, they're more than flawed. Almost everybody's.
Yeah, almost everybody's just a horrible person.
Yeah. But like at the same time, like there's also a lot of good qualities to them. Like so much people, because the boys is just everybody's evil.
Yeah,
like every single person is evil except for like Huey and Starlight. But like
it's like people are trying to do good, but the way they're going about it is like the worst way possible.
Absolutely.
It's great. I can't wait to see how the animated series handles the rest of
except Thaddeus. Thaddeus is like maybe the only good guy, but like I can't really say anything about it because that's a huge spoiler. But I can say Thaddeus was like a good guy.
I mean, not really, because I mean, you know what he did.
But I mean,
he did it. He did it for a good reason. He did it for a good reason. But I mean, you know,
he prepared it, but he didn't do it.
But yeah,
the same thing.
Another comic I read in light of the recent Shang-Chi trailer. I read. I got some suggestions from you, and I read Shang-Chi: Deadly Hands of Kung Fu. It was cool. I liked it. I did not like the art style of the first two issues. I wasn't a fan of the art style, and also the artist didn't sell the action very well. The action felt weightless. It didn't feel like nothing had speed or impact, and like the action just didn't feel good. But the second two issues was really good, and I enjoyed it so much more once I got to that third issue because I was like, man, I don't know if I want to finish this, but I was like, it's only 4 issues. I got to finish it. And also another reason I ended up reading Invincible is because I went to go read this, and each issue was like $1, and I was like, I'll do it. And then it said, well, if you subscribe, you'll get it half off. And I was like, and if I subscribe, I'll be able to read the first I think 12 volumes of Invincible with the subscription without paying an additional cost. And then after that, I bought because the first issue, the last issue, and I think like volume 13, which is the last one I could borrow before I had to start paying, was the first issue and the second compendium. So I just ended up buying the second compendium and the third compendium. And then because I already had the second and third one, and I'm probably going to want to reread it eventually, I was like, I might as well just buy the first compendium as well because it's at a significant discount at the moment. If I wait, it was $15 at the time. I think it was $17 actually. If I waited, it would have went back up to like $33. And I was like, I'm not doing that. So let me get it now. So yeah, I'm probably gonna end up rereading it soon because I just miss it and it was so good and it's on my brain at all times. Uh, but I don't want to stick to that too long because don't want to make the episode too long. But yeah, it's great.
So I'm assuming I'm assuming the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, that was the 2014 series.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, because as soon as you said the art style was bad, I was like, okay, it has to be the 2014 series. The 2014 art style was like garbage, but yeah, like that's. But if anybody watching those doesn't know, I'm a huge like Shang-Chi's my third favorite Marvel character, and I've been like into Shang-Chi longer than I've been into most other Marvel characters. So like, I'm glad you actually start reading my recommendations because like. I know what's up, you know what I'm saying? Like I've been around the block as far as Shang-Chi goes. So
yeah, I'm trying to, this time around, I'm letting things get drawn out a little bit more because I realize we have more time than I think, especially since I have a timer right next to me so I can see exactly how much time we spend on each section. And the first section is the one where we usually get to the point to where we go on tangents. And I'm like, okay, we got to spend 15 minutes on the media consumption part and then move on. Otherwise, we'll end up spending half the podcast talking about that. But yeah, moving on to TV and film, we're getting close to the meat and potatoes of this episode. But before we get there, there are a few small things. Number one is Gabriel Luna is going to be Tommy in the Last of Us HBO series. I know him from, well, I haven't seen the movie, but he's in Terminator Dark something, the most recent Terminator, as a Terminator. Another casting thing is before I move on, actually, Gabriel Luna, also a Latino man, so it'd be weird. I mean, it wouldn't be that weird, but it'd be kind of weird if his brother was white when why am I forgetting his name? Mandalorian. What's his name?
Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal is also Latino. So yeah. He also, just like Pedro Pascal, kind of looks like a Latino version of Joel when he has a beard. Gabriel Luna kind of looks like a Latino version of Tommy. So I mean, in terms of looks, it's not off. Russell Crowe will be Zeus in Thor: Love and Thunder, apparently. Some people are saying that he'll probably just immediately be killed off by Gore the God Butcher. That sounds about right.
He won't be killed off immediately. He was on set for about like 2 months, I think. And if he was just going to be killed off in the beginning, he wouldn't have been on set for 2 months.
Well, he'll probably get killed by Gore eventually in the movie.
No, probably he might get killed by Gore. I wouldn't be surprised if they kept him around though, because he's a pretty big character as far as Hercules lore is concerned. So if they introduce Hercules, I doubt they'll kill him off. If they kill him off, it's not going to be in the beginning.
I would say even if they did kill him off, I feel like he could still, the Hercules could take place before he died, and he could come back. But whenever Hercules shows up, of course. Another thing, there's going to be a GCPD HBO spinoff from the Batman movie. It's also going to be led by Matt Reeves, and that's interesting. That's intriguing. Naturally, a lot of people compare it to Gotham, and let's be real, Gotham stopped being a Jim Gordon show like immediately and turned into like teenage Batman.
Season 3 was when it started getting me to Bruce being Batman. Yeah.
It started rushing into the Batman stuff and just leaning heavily on his rogues gallery.
Never bad. Like it was always like Gotham was a great show, but it was just like
it stopped being
immediate.
It stopped being about him as a police officer and just about introducing all of Batman's villains and what they were doing before that Bruce was Batman. I think the latter half of the series wasn't very good, but I enjoyed it for what it was. I watched all of it. I liked it for what it was. It wasn't the best in the world. It wasn't bad.
The series finale was garbage. Like, it
was not good.
Like the rest of the show is just such high quality. The season, you would expect the series finale to be handled with the same finesse, but no.
Yeah. But yeah, this one is going to focus, apparently going to focus more on the corruption of Gotham and, all of their systems a lot more. And it's going to be a bit more grounded than the rest of, how Gotham was. And that sounds interesting. I'm interested in that. I would like to see them do more stuff like that. Like I was hoping they would do this, and they're kind of taking the MCU route, making TV shows that tie into their film universe. And I think that's a dope thing to do. This one's a bit off the wall, but there's this movie I saw a trailer for randomly called Werewolves Within. You know how I like werewolves, but this movie is kind of like it's like a horror comedy, and it's based off a Ubisoft VR game of the same name. But it reminds me of, have you ever heard or played Ultimate Werewolf? I've never played it. I want to play it.
I've never even heard of it.
You never heard of Ultimate Werewolf?
No.
Have you heard of Secret Hitler?
No.
That is a hilarious thing. It's essentially, I'm gonna try to explain it, but let me see if Google has a good way of describing it before I try. Ultimate Werewolf. It says that it's an interactive game of deduction for two teams, villagers and werewolves. Essentially, one person is a werewolf. You don't know that person is a werewolf. Obviously, they have to keep it a secret, and their goal is to kill the villagers before they can discover that they're a werewolf. So like it's a card game. You can play it online too, but
I was gonna say, this just sounds like
Secret Hitler is the same thing, except one of the characters is Hitler instead of a werewolf. And some of the people are on Hitler's side, and their goal is to kill. And Ultimate Werewolf, it could be more than one werewolf as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this movie seems like Ultimate Werewolf. Essentially, there's a person who's a werewolf, but they don't know who the werewolf is. They just know that people are dying, and they're trying to discover who the werewolf is. But it could be any of them. Sounds like a fun movie. Definitely something I want to check out. Probably not in theaters, but streaming service. The Flash has officially begun filming. They showed their little logo. The logo actually looks really cool. It has like coil behind the actual lightning bolt. I think it looks cool.
The lightning is also not yellow. Also not blue. It's yellow.
Yeah, the lightning's gonna be yellow now, which is dope. The suit, I have a feeling it's just gonna look great. I have a feeling it's gonna look good.
Did you see the concept art?
Yeah, I've seen the concept art. Concept art looks good, and it also like blacks out a lot of stuff, so you can't see the full detail. But based on the concept art, I think it's gonna look good. It seems like the suit is, I'm not sure if they're gonna go the Flash ring route or he'll just make it out of the Speed Force. But either way, it will be dope. Michael Keaton is also confirmed to be in it now, so that's dope. Someone else who's confirmed is Alfred Molina is confirmed to return as Doc Ock in Spider-Man 3, and he claims that it's going to pick up where Octavius' story left off in Spider-Man 2. So I have a feeling when he's floating down in that water, a portal will come and snatch him up before he dies or something like that. Anything you got to say about those two before we move
on? No.
You're just like, yeah, they exist.
Yeah, I'm not really that excited for the Flash movie.
I wasn't until I seen Snyder Cut. Then I'm like, okay, you got me a little bit.
What I do like about Snyder Cut, and I told you before, I actually really like this interpretation of the Flash. I don't think he should have been Barry. I think he should have been Wally. But
yeah,
one thing I really like is that Zack Snyder came out and he was like, this version of the Flash has ADHD. And as someone with severe ADHD, I really, really, really like that, because it was very, I wouldn't have noticed had you not said anything, but now that you said it, I'm like, I can see that.
So next there's a live action Gundam movie is coming to Netflix. Coincidentally, I don't know if I said it to you, but I said it to someone about how I just want some more live action mech movies, because we've had live action monster movies a lot lately. And I was just like, I need more mechs in live action, just beating each other up. And we're going to be getting that from Gundam, which of course is a mech anime. And naturally that worries people. Like, okay, here we go, another live action anime. Let's see how this goes. It's actually being directed, or at least he's helming the project, is the director of Kong Skull Island, Jordan Bach Roberts, who also is trying to make a Metal Gear film. And because of how much I know he respects the mediums that he makes films, based off of, I have a feeling he's going to do a pretty good job. because one, I like Skull Island, and he clearly loves Gundam. So I feel like the fact that he loves it and I feel like he'll love it and treat it with respect and make a pretty good movie. But yeah, I want to see mech movies. I wish the second Pacific Rim was good, but people say they don't like it. I haven't watched it. I don't really care to watch it. The first one was really good though. I want more just robots fighting robots or monsters. I like robots. I like giant robots and giant monsters fighting each other. It's fun.
If you like giant robots fighting giant robots, you should love this news then. Vin Diesel was cast as the main character in a live-action Rock'em Sock'em Robots movie. So
what does that mean? What does that mean?
I don't know. You said you like robots fighting. I'm just giving you the news, man.
That entire statement made no sense.
I'm just giving you the news, man.
There's actually some type of weird sport where people like hold on to a table and just punch each other. That's kind of like Rock'em Sock'em Robots. That it kind of reminds me of, you remember that movie with Hugh Jackman, Real Steel, where they like controlled the robots.
I saw like bits and pieces. I saw like 3 clips.
Yeah, I've seen it a few times. I like that movie. It's a good movie. In my mind, that's what it is because that's kind of what that was. It was kind of like Rock'em Sock'em. I don't know. Whatever it is probably gonna be ridiculous. Next, something you'll be able to talk about a lot is Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings trailer. Dropped April 19th. It's gonna hit theaters September 9th, 2021. Off top, I just want to mention how the 10 rings look like they're going to be bracelets instead of rings. Most likely because we just came off of the Infinity Saga and they don't want people to immediately go, those are just the Infinity Stones again. So they made them like bracelets instead of actual rings.
Now see, it's not September.
Your room is dark as I don't know what.
Yeah, let me change that. I'm sitting in the living room right now. Let me change that. But it's not releasing September 9th, it's releasing September 3rd. So we get it earlier. But yes. So one, I don't necessarily know that those are the rings. They could be the rings, but I don't think so.
There are 10 of them, and the Mandarin's wearing them all the time in the trailer.
That's not the Mandarin that's wearing them. The one that's wearing them is Wen Wu, who is, in my theory, he's going to be Shang's father.
I think that they're literally combining the characters, and that the Mandarin is also going to be his father.
No, bro. Okay, so I've already like put together. I texted you this. You never responded to this, but I texted you this.
I don't remember this.
A synopsis of the entire thing based off of a mix of the comics and like the MC. Like I've put together like a synopsis of the entire thing. So potential spoiler warning, because I could be wrong, but I also could be right. So here's my theory, right? Wen Wu, who leads this crime organization. I don't know if it's going to be the 10 Rings crime organization or not, but he leads this crime organization. He had the 10 rings because we see him using the 10 rings multiple times. So the character that plays Wen Wu, who is the person that we see in the trailer using the 10 rings, if they are the 10 rings, we see him using the bracelets. I'll say them like that. We see him using the bracelets. He is played by a completely separate actor to the man playing the Mandarin. And even on like the toys and stuff like that, because the toys are being released early. On Wednesday, I have Jiu-Jitsu.
I saw the actor on Twitter posted some of the toys.
Yeah, he's been posting them on Instagram like all over the place. And so on Wednesday, because I have like Jiu-Jitsu on Wednesday, so I'm gonna be down in the neighborhood anyway. I'm going to Target and I'm buying like as many Shang-Chi toys as I can on a budget. Because I'm still buying stuff because I'm still buying stuff for my room. I still have to save money, but as much as I can on the budget, I'm buying those toys. But one of the toys is Wen Wu, and so we do see that he's a completely separate character from the Mandarin. So my theory is Wen Wu, because we see him in a freeze frame in the trailer, like as he's giving like that long speech in the trailer about like I give you 10 years to go live your life, yada yada yada. And we see Shang say that's not going to happen. He's talking to Wen Wu, who is a different character than the Mandarin. And so my theory is that Wen Wu had the 10 rings at one point, but sometime after Shang either ran away or got sent away or whatever, he loses the 10 rings. And so the Mandarin has the 10 rings, or he either has the 10 rings or he's going to get the 10 rings. And like the 10 rings are this prize in this tournament that Wen Wu is having Shang-Chi fight in. And so the Mandarin isn't going to be his father, but he is going to be the movie villain. Like he's gonna be the villain of the movie, which is my main theory for like the basic synopsis of the movie. But I also don't think that the 10 rings are just bracelets. I think they can change size.
Yeah,
I think they might be able to fit on fingers. Like I think they might be able to like shrink.
yeah, because in the trailer they showed like when they're like just sitting on his wrist and they aren't being used, they're the same size. But there was a shot in the trailer where they were different sizes on different parts of the arm. So yeah, you might be right. They might be both bracelets and rings. They shrink and grow. That would be cool.
That's just that's my like that's my how long have I been a Shang-Chi fan? Like that's my like 9-year long synopsis, like knowledge put into a synopsis.
Yeah, me and you also talked about a potential Agents of Atlas series or movie or something like that with featuring Shang-Chi and what's the name of the dude that was in WandaVision? I don't remember that dude's name.
Jimmy Woo.
Yeah, Jimmy Woo. Yeah. Woo. So yeah, that would be interesting to see. They're essentially like the Asian Avengers. Convenient alliteration, but yeah. Don't want to spend too much time because want to leave enough time for the rest of the stuff we have to talk about. That's definitely going to take up so much time. But I'm going to skip to video games real quickly and then we'll come back. First things first, Kojima's next game may be on Xbox. That's a rumor. I don't know much about that rumor. I just hear that might be a rumor. It's weird. I don't know if it's exclusive or like a limited exclusive, but I don't know. That's interesting. I have an Xbox, so I'd get it either way. But for the people who don't have an Xbox, it's sad because I know people are used to playing Kojima games on PlayStation. Speaking of Konami, though, they're licensing out their properties. Finally, they're finally going to start licensing out. I can't speak, man. They're going to start giving their properties to other studios to work on. And like I've said 1,000 times before, I want Bluepoint, the people who did the Shadow of the Colossus remake, the people who did the most recent Demon's Souls remake. I hate that name. The name is just as hard to say as the game is to play. The people who did that I want them to make a remake of the first Metal Gear game and potentially also the second and third Metal Gear games, because I love Metal Gear. It's one of my favorite video game series of all time, and Konami is just doing nothing with it. And I think maybe the last episode or one before that, I talked about how Castlevania would be great as a FromSoft game. And I want FromSoft to make a Castlevania game now that this is possible. But yeah, something you'll be vastly more interested in. Knights of the Old Republic is getting. Yes. Yeah, it's been reported to be getting a remake by. The reporter for Bloomberg, Jason Schreier, says that he basically confirmed that Asper is remaking KOTOR, and that Asper has worked on tons of Star Wars game ports. Most recently, they worked on the Switch and PS4 port of Republic Commandos. And yeah, they'll be remaking it. Basically confirmed, like he said. So that's dope. I'm excited to play a remake of that game. I told you I wouldn't play it unless it was remade, and it's being remade, so I'll finally play it.
I still think to play the original. Like the original is not bad.
It's too dated for me, bro. Next, Resident Evil. So there was a showcase. They announced 3 demos. 2 of them already passed. One was on April 17th. One was on April 24th. They were 30 minutes long each. You can only play them once, and they only lasted for 8 hours. Everything I just said is trash. Like, why? Like, if they're already only 30 minutes and you can play them once, why have a time limit on, a time window for when you can play it? That's trash. Second, because people have to work. Some people work at night. And of course, people live on the other side of the planet, have to work in the morning.
That's why I didn't play it. That's literally why I didn't play it, because I had work to do. I had stuff to do.
People have things to do. They can't play this game at this specific time you set just because they want to. They have things to do. People can't just afford to take time off work to play this game. So that was messed up. I had time to play it, and it was fun. They're both really good, and it makes me so excited for this game.
I'm very excited for this. It's amazing.
And have you seen any of the gameplay from the?
I saw the very, very, very first, the first demo that
the maiden demo.
Yeah, the beta. Yeah, that's what I saw. I haven't seen anything else.
The second demo, the first one was in a village. The second one was in a castle, and the second one actually was essentially, it was the maiden demo but backwards. It was you going down into the place where the maiden was, but
Okay.
but as the main character Ethan, of course, and you have weapons and can shoot things rather than just run away.
Are you able to see my baby mother, Lady Demetrius? That's all I need to know.
In the second demo, you see her
Okay.
for a little bit. You're crawling through a hole, and she's in a room, like in a wine cellar, and then she goes through a door that you can't follow her behind because it's locked. I tried. So the next demo will be up for 24 hours, and it will be an hour long. It's on May 1st, 8 p.m. to 8 p.m. 8 p.m. May 1st to 8 p.m. May 2nd. And that's dope. A few other announcements from the showcase. They showed a new trailer for Infinite Darkness. It releases July this year on Netflix. Apparently it takes place in 2006 after the events of Resident Evil 4. They also announced that filming has wrapped on the Resident Evil live action movie and that they've started on visual effects. They also announced a crossover with Dead by Daylight. So I have a feeling it's either going to be, I have a feeling it's going to be Nemesis because, Nemesis. Either Nemesis or Mr. X or it could be Lady Dimitrescu. And by the way, it's pronounced Dimitrescu. They say it in the game. Ethan says it's Dimitrescu. So yeah, her name is Dimitrescu. And I have a feeling it's either her or Nemesis because
I really want to see Mr. X. I love Mr. X.
Yeah, but Nemesis is literally Mr. X but better. So it would make more sense for it to be Nemesis.
I like Mr. X's whole like his what's the word I'm looking for?
His trench coat and fedora.
His trench coat, he got the hat, like he's just clean. Like he's too clean to be a killer. Like
they could have a skin for Nemesis where he is basically Mr. X.
That is true.
But yeah, and they also announced a VR Resident Evil 4. It's going to be an Oculus Quest 2, which my little brother has, so I might purchase it and play it myself on my brother's Oculus.
I'm looking for it now. We going back to the Dead by Daylight thing. There was another thing that I completely forgot about that I really want to mention.
Is it the new character for Dead by Daylight that looks like a Korean pop star?
No, but wait, what?
Have you not seen it?
Wait a minute. Wait, what?
Watch the trailer. The trailer's animated in the first few minutes. He's the newest Dead by Daylight character is a Korean pop star, bro. Look it up. I'm gonna watch it as well.
Okay, yeah, you're gonna have to pull that up. Share your screen and pull it up because I'm not gonna. I've still gotta find the thing. I don't remember if this is a leak or confirmed though, which is what I wanted to mention. And I think you might actually really enjoy this as well. I know you have mixed feelings on the franchise. I love the franchise. I have mixed feelings on the games, but I really like the lore and I really like the first game. Five Nights at Freddy's is going to be getting a killer for Dead by Daylight.
Really? I hope it's.
I don't remember if that was rumored or confirmed, but I remember seeing a post about it. Was that Five Nights at Freddy's is going to be getting a killer, and I was like, "That's genius."
Yeah, it is.
That is genius. So I was trying to look because I remember the person who posted it.
I can't share right now because this is a new laptop and this is my first time sharing my screen on Zoom, so it's asking me to do a whole bunch of extra stuff, and I can't do that right now. So it's 44 minutes. Just look up an image of what he looks like. You don't have to watch the trailer. Just look up Dead by Daylight all kill. But yeah, while you do that, I'll just talk about there was a 26-minute gameplay video that I think they let media play the game for like a couple hours, and a 26-minute gameplay video was released for Resident Evil Village that showcased some of the potential bosses. One of which was like a creepy Annabelle-looking doll character, and one of them is like a fish person. So that's dope.
Why is it all kill like? Why is this a thing?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch gameplay later. I meant to watch it earlier, but I think it was a live stream that hadn't started yet. But I'm gonna have to watch it later because it looks weird. I don't know why, but it is.
He's not even scary. He's just like he seems like the cool type of killer type thing where it's like the types of killers that like in anime that wear trench coats.
Yeah, it's like it reminds me of, well, never mind. I was about to say a spoiler for anime. Never mind. But actually, no, it's not because they don't try to hide it. there's a character in, but I'm just say spoiler alert for people just in case. Spoiler alert for JoJo Part 4 Diamond is Unbreakable. He's a popular character though at this point. And they don't hide who he is. Like the moment they show him, they show that he's a murderer. And he's essentially like, he's my favorite character in that season. And he's just a really interesting character. That's what this guy seems like. He seems like the character you'll like, and he's charismatic and you'll enjoy him as a person, but the things he does are horrible.
But he's like not scary.
Yeah, he doesn't look scary. I mean, if that dude started murdering people in front of me, I'd be afraid. Like,
yeah, but I mean, there's a difference between like a 3D animated like video game character, like video game model murdering someone that looks like that versus like if you saw that like in front of you in real life, like you're walking down a dark alley and you see someone that looks like that.
You know what he looks like? He looks like either like a Valorant or like Apex.
He looks like a Valorant character. Yes.
Valorant character. That's exactly
I'm just trying to put my mouth on it. He looks like either a Valorant character or like I wouldn't. If they released him as the next Apex operator, I wouldn't.
I was like, he looks like a Valorant or Apex character. Yeah. But yeah, we got like 30 minutes left. Let's get going. We're probably gonna go an extra 10 minutes if I'm being real, because next we're gonna talk about. We're gonna start with Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then we'll end it off with Mortal Kombat. So, Falcon and the Winter Soldier complete season review. Overall, off top, I'm just gonna give my out of 10 score. I would give it a 7.5, maybe a 7. 7.5, a little bit closer. But the reason I would give it a 7.5 is because I actually agree with you. Before I disagree, but I agree with you that it could have used another episode or two. I actually agree with you. You said that before, and I was like, it should be shorter. It should be a movie. And I was like, nah. Here's the thing. I didn't think that until the last episode, because even if you love the show, I love the show. I think the show is really good and it's enjoyable. And anybody who likes, the MCU or comics should check it out. But the last episode was 100% rushed. You could tell. The beginning, everything felt like it was happening so fast, and that my biggest complaint with the last episode is that, naturally, spoiler alert, it'll be a big red spoiler alert on screen. But Walker's character arc was kind of rushed in the very end. It felt like there was more. There was supposed to be more before he got to the point where he got at the end of that episode, and it felt like they just skipped over it. You know what I mean? Like he does a thing that you like. They show the fact that he may be a bit messed up, but he's not a bad person. He'll still save people. And then like a couple scenes later, he's working with Bucky and they're all like, buddy. And I'm like, what just happened? There was no, like, we didn't see what happened in between that time. We just see him come back and all of a sudden he's friends with Bucky, talking about Abraham Lincoln quotes and stuff like that. And I'm like, what's going on right now? Another reason I dislike that, because even though I don't think it's what they're doing, in that because of COVID, they kind of just had to rush, and that's unfortunate, but it happened. So I'm gonna have to, judge it based off of what happened. And his character, his story ended far happier than I think it should have, because his character, essentially, to people who know nothing about the comics, I feel like to a lot of people, his character will have ended off in a place to where they think he's gonna be a 100% good guy. Based on the way that story ended, if you know nothing about the comics, you would assume he's a good guy now. Am I mistaken in thinking that? Like the way it ended, you would think that he went back to the good side and that he's a good guy now. But
as a huge John Walker fan in the comics, and I want this to be clear, I don't agree with his politics, but I like him because I don't agree with his politics. Like he's a dark reflection of Captain America, which I enjoy. But even as a huge John Walker fan in the comics, I was like, are they going to keep down like the anti-hero route, or is he?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I don't think they're going to do that. I just think that they didn't get the chance to develop him in this show the way they wanted to. I think that the goal was for him to end as a very clearly anti-hero character, but they just didn't have enough time to do it. And so they just had to wrap up his story as well as they could. And, they did the best they could with the time that they had. But yeah, I wanted his story to end with, first of all, I think he should have fought Bucky. I think that they should have fought in that last episode. I really wanted to see a confrontation between those two at least once. And then maybe afterwards, like maybe mid-fight, they both save the truck, like together. And then he goes, okay, maybe you're not that bad. And then they decide to team up and fight the smash. Excuse me, I said a bad word just there. The flag smashers, and I'm gonna cut that out.
Until you said that, I was like, wait, oh my god.
I'm gonna keep that in, but you guys know that was a mistake. I did not mean to say that. The flag smashers, and then they get a little closer, but it's still clear that he would have killed them if Bucky wasn't there. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I think they should have made it clear that he would have murdered them, but Bucky stopped him, and then he decided to help Bucky. Not that he made like he still wants to save people, but the people that he deems to be bad, he will murder without a care in the world because he thinks that's the right thing to do. That was my biggest problem. I think they did Bucky's story okay, but I feel like he didn't get enough spotlight. Again, I think that was a time constraint thing because of COVID. Otherwise, I think the best well-told story in this is naturally Sam's. I think they told his story very well, and that was the best, just the most well-written story. They focused on it, obviously, because everything else they didn't have time for, they kind of rushed past. But the one thing that they knew they needed to make time for, they did really well. I'm gonna let you talk before I get on to my problems with the flag smashers and the power broker, because
the power broker was probably my least favorite part of the
the power broker was definitely my least favorite. This flag smasher is just above that, but I'll get to that. I'll let you speak. I've been talking for a while.
Okay, so personally, I loved the finale. I thought it was almost perfect. I definitely agree that there was a lot that was rushed, but
I don't think it's almost perfect. I don't think it's close, but I think it was almost good. No, I don't think it's good. I think it was almost great, but it just ended up just being good.
I think it was almost perfect, but I feel like it was, one, rushed in a lot of places. Two, the power broker reveal was the most obvious. Like, I was like, come on now, like that.
Also, I feel like they could have held on to Zemo a little bit longer. I feel like instead of him, I feel like because he kind of just disappeared after he, went to prison, obviously. And I think they could have held on to him until like the second to last episode. Then he goes to prison.
That was the second to last episode that he got arrested.
No, it was the episode. It was this episode before that he got arrested. No. Oh, you're absolutely right. He did get arrested.
I was gonna say no, that was an episode.
What I meant to say is that I think we need another episode of him actively doing things, because in an episode he didn't do anything. He just got arrested. We needed another extra episode of him actively doing things. I feel like he went away a little bit too early.
Zemo was probably my favorite character in the entire show. Like, he was so good. He was so good.
And for people who didn't notice it, because I didn't notice the first time, it wasn't until I watched a reaction of some people watching it, and they pointed out that the person that blew up the flag smashers at the end was Zemo's butler. So Zemo got his wish. He got his butler to do what he didn't get a chance to do. So yeah,
that was never.
He still achieved his goal.
He did, yeah. He achieved his goal, and it was like I knew who it was. I saw it. And for a second, it took me. I was like, wait a minute. And then when I saw it start panning out from the TV, it didn't show Zemo yet, but it started panning out from the TV. I was like, yo, that was his butler. I freaked out because I was like, that's the best.
I didn't notice. I was, let me tell you, the first time I watched it, I was so confused. I was like, who is this? I didn't know who he was. I was like, who is this random person that blew them up? What is this? Am I supposed to know who this person is? I was so confused. But after watching, I was like, oh, that's who it is. I guarantee you so many people didn't know who that was.
They probably didn't, but I've also got my memory works in interesting ways. But I saw that the suit, the Captain America suit for Sam, almost perfect. The mask fits a little weird, and the shoulder pads make it look like a kid's costume.
I think that the mask fits fine. I think that actually around the ears, I think it fits a little weird, but I think that it's a little too loose. If you get what I mean, like it's a little bit too loose on his body, and that was my biggest thing with it. Otherwise, I think it was great.
I don't share the sentiment that it was too loose on his body. I think it was fine on his body. I think the shoulder pads looked incredibly dumb. And for me, the way the mask, Anthony Mackie's face is already round. the mask just makes his head look rounder. And if they had cut out, because like the way the mask is, it goes like these, like the goggles right here, and it goes like under the goggles to like right here. If they cut this part like out, and so like the thing went like where the goggles ended is where it actually started moving down his face, it would look so much better to me at that point.
Yeah, just like
those are the two biggest problems with the suit.
Yeah, just like every other character in MCU, I'm sure it'll slightly change throughout the course
the
of
cap suit changes.
Like, I'm pretty sure in the Captain America 4 movie, which is being confirmed to be written by the writer on this show, it's gonna look different. It's not gonna look completely different, but it's definitely gonna end up looking like how like the suit Captain America got in the second Avengers. He essentially wears that same suit, but different iterations of it for the rest of the series. Like even his final suit was essentially that suit, except that it had the scales on it. So yeah. Just to get a little bit more specific before I jump into the Flag Smashers, just to get a little bit more specific about what I liked about Sam's story. Like the main theme about the show is really is symbols and what they mean for people and what they stand for. The Flag Smashers are a symbol, the Winter Soldier is a symbol, and naturally Captain America is a symbol. And it's like, should they exist? Should they replaced? Or should just the meanings of those symbols be changed? Naturally, with Captain America, the idea is that they're going to be changed with both Captain America and the Winter Soldier, because they didn't change Bucky's name. Bucky's still going to go by the Winter Soldier. But
thank God, I saw people saying they wanted him to be White Wolf.
No, I don't want him to be White Wolf. I think that's a weird name for him to go by. But
that name is stupid to me. Like,
if anything, I would want him to just start going by just Bucky. If anything. But Winter Soldier's perfectly fine. Even though I think there's still a chance he might just end up just going by Bucky, because I think his exact words were that he was the Winter Soldier. Once he went to the Asian dude to tell him that he killed his son, he said that I was that person. He didn't say I am. So I think he might be wanting to leave that name in the past. So either they'll make a new name or he'll just go by Bucky. I want him to just go by Bucky.
I'd rather him stay by Winter Soldier, but if he didn't, I would want him to be Bucky.
But yeah, I just want to say that. And also, I didn't notice it before, but someone pointed out that the comment that Bucky made, and I don't think this was purposeful, but it likely was, when Bucky went to go help him fix the boat when he first showed up, and he like twisted the thing to keep the water or whatever smoke from spewing out. He said, "Why didn't you use your robot arm? It's obviously stronger." And he was like, "I don't think of it immediately. I'm right-handed." And that potentially could be referring to an anecdote about right-handed people, essentially meaning that it's kind of like a metaphor for him not thinking about what it would be like for a Black man to have the shield. There's an anecdote about how right-handed people never think about what it's like for left-handed people, because the world is built for right-handed people, because the majority of people in the world are right-handed. So you never think about what it's like for a person who's left-handed. And that potentially, I think, was a metaphor, and it would make sense, because essentially that's what happened. He didn't think about what it would be like to be a Black man with the shield.
I don't think they meant for it to be one, but I could see it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, even if they didn't mean for it to be one, it's very coincidental that it was. But going on to the Flag Smashers, I personally almost immediately lost sympathy for the fact. Oh my God, I said it again. The Flag Smashers.
Jesus Christ.
I'm just stumbling with my words. I didn't mean to say it. I'm gonna start saying it slow. The Flag Smashers. I immediately lost sympathy for them when they started killing people, specifically Carly, because they made it seem like when she killed people that she enjoys it, because she would smile when she does it, and she would smile when she talks about it. And that takes her from being a freedom fighter to a terrorist and a murderer, because she now seems like she's enjoying what she's doing and she's not doing it for a purpose. In my personal opinion, I think a better way to handle the idea of them becoming murderers is that either someone they're working with, like Backtrack, started killing people and ruining their reputation, or they were put into a situation where they had no choice but to kill or be killed. Or lastly, because they're super soldiers, they underestimated their strength and made a mistake and killed people. And then either one of those three things happen and it's a snowball effect and they kind of just go down that slippery slope and end up becoming murderers. I think that would have made it much more sympathetic, because we would have got to a point where it's like, we feel like they had no choice. They had to defend themselves, rather than they're just murdering people because they want to. Like, they don't have to, they just want to. Like, they could have held those people hostage. They didn't have to kill them. Like, there were different ways for them to do their thing. They turned them from freedom fighters to just straight up villains. And I feel like her people should have turned against her, but they didn't. Like, they kept showing in, like I said, I think this is another case of it being rushed. Like, they showed to where it was like, where she was like one world and they didn't say one people. And then she was like one world and they were like hesitantly like one people. And like, I think her people were going to turn on her, but they didn't have enough time to do that. Last but not least, of course, Sharon Carter, the power broker, apparently. Am I the only person? I'm not the only person actually that thinks her character changes a little bit too dramatic.
Yeah.
Like the way they described it before was perfectly fine. I understood it. She's on the run, she's hiding. But for her to be this super villain with this evil organization in this criminal country is ridiculous. She just it feels so random.
Yeah. You know, I'm a huge stickler for the comics, and it's just like, and while the MCU is not the comics, it's
as close
similar
as you can get.
Yeah, it's similar enough to where I wouldn't expect, literally, like, Sharon Carter is like, she's Captain America's like primary love interest because she's good, and like she is good. Like, no matter, she is like the number 2 super spy right behind Black Widow in the Marvel universe, but like, unlike Black Widow, who's constantly morally ambiguous, and in her own series everyone's always questioning what side she's on. Like, even the reader questions what side she's on most of the time. You always know what side Sharon's on, like, all the time. So I'm like, for her to secretly be a villain this whole time feels way too weird. Like, that's no, like, you can't tell me that. No, that just is not right. That makes no sense to me.
It felt so, like, even it felt so out of character for her within the MCU, not even like taking into consideration of comics, because for her to change a little bit made sense, but for her to change so drastically is ridiculous. And I want to hold on to hope that she's a double agent, but I don't feel like she is.
I feel like if she was really a double agent, the post-credit scene to the final episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier would be the wrong place to put that down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, they like to tease us by telling us that some big, super duper awesome cameo is going to happen. And then the cameo ends up being the most disappointing thing you've ever seen in your entire life. And don't get me wrong, I love the woman that plays Elaine from Seinfeld. I love Seinfeld, but they made it seem like we were going to see Black Panther or Captain America, Steve Rogers. Like, we didn't see anything like that. We saw Madam Hydra being introduced, which was, cool introduction, but they shouldn't have claimed that this was going to be this big, like how they did with WandaVision. Like, they straight up said, you're going to be so surprised by this person. And it ended up just being him, another version of himself. Like, it was just Paul Bettany as Vision again.
Personally, I really like the reveal, but if you're not a huge fan,
I like the reveal. I just hate that they tried to make it seem like it was something that it wasn't.
Yeah, no, if you didn't read the comics, you
also, I think that my problem with the series and why it's a 7.5 and not an 8 is that the writing is a little lackluster at times, and at the very end where she is like Walker's getting changed into his US agent costume, which is the same costume but different colors. It looks good either way. And she kind of was like, it couldn't have ended better if I'd done it. Or did I? No, I didn't do it. But did I? And I was like, that was so heavy-handed. You did not need to do that. She literally could have just said, it couldn't have been better if I did it myself. And that by itself would have made us go, she was planning to kill them. Like, it was very obvious. They didn't need to go, or did I? I didn't. Or did I again? And it's like, bro, that was so unnecessary. I felt like there was a lot of little bits of writing like that throughout the entirety of series. It was just extra piece of dialogue that I felt was so unnecessary. And I was just like, why did you say that? That was so stupid. You just ruined that scene for me. Why are you talking? Like sometimes I was just like, that was weird.
I don't think any of them ruin scenes for me per se, but I can definitely see where you're coming from.
But yeah, we're running on time. I'm just so obsessed with making sure that we're on time with like reaching that 20-minute mark, because last time we were too short. We used to go too long, but now we're perfectly there. We're at 1 hour and 6 minutes. So we got more than enough time to talk about one of the worst movies I've seen in my entire life. That's not true. I've seen worse movies.
Where they go?
That's not, I'm not gonna go that far, because like I said to you, I've cooled down. I can see a little bit more clearly. The anger's died down, but it's not as bad as I thought it was. But it's still not a good movie. And we're referring to the most recent live-action Mortal Kombat movie, 2021. Now, before you say anything, I want to point something out that will infuriate you if you didn't already know it. The director of this movie, this was his first ever movie. 1, 2. There were 2 writers on this. One of the writers had only written 2 super small projects, so he's unseasoned. And the other writer has the most mediocre IMDb page I've ever seen in my life. He worked on, I think, all of the Expendables. So I guess, he knows how to do cheesy action. But first off, the action in that movie isn't that good. And also the writing definitely isn't. Not that Mortal Kombat needs to be a masterpiece. Like if anything, he was the best part of the team. He was the best member of the team. Everybody else was a little lackluster. Other than, like I said, the choreographer, he worked on Warrior. So obviously that dude's good. But
I'd honestly go so far as to say the action in that movie was kind of bad, aside from like maybe 2 scenes.
I would say the action was I would say it was good. The editing was garbage.
The editing was horrible.
The editing on the fights was horrible. It's what a lot of American action movies do, and why me and you both love Asian action movies, like kung fu movies and stuff like that, because they know how to hold onto a shot and let you see the actors just fight. A couple days ago, I was showing my friends one of my favorite Jackie Chan fight scene. I forget the name of the movie, but it's so good. I'm gonna send it to you after this. It is so good. You might have seen it before. And it's easily the best fight scene I've ever seen in my entire life. From a technical standpoint and just the way it's filmed. They hold on to shots for so long so that you can actually see what they're doing, especially when you have actors that know how to fight. And in the very first fight, which in my opinion is the second best fight in the movie after the very last fight, which is literally between, spoiler alert for this entire section, those same 2 people, Scorpion and Sub-Zero, they kept cutting in that fight. When they started fighting, they would punch like 2 times, cut, 2 times, cut, 2 times, cut, 3 times, cut. And it's like, bro, chill with the cutting. I want to actually be able to see these people who know what they're doing fight. Stop cutting so much. And this is kind of scary. The mediocre writer that wrote on this movie, not the one that only wrote 2 things, the other one that's written far more things, but they're all kind of just regular stuff. He is a writer on Shang-Chi and Spider-Verse 2.
You can't get anything nice anymore.
I'm so scared for those movies now. I'm so afraid.
At least she's not the only writer. And at least the trailer for Shang-Chi looks good. I was not excited about the trailer for Mortal Kombat. Like the trailer for the first Mortal Kombat. Or for
he's one of 2 writers on Shang-Chi.
Also, there's only one other person to balance him out.
Only one other person who also hasn't worked on a lot.
Stop telling me stuff. I don't want to hear it.
Maybe the director could save it. Maybe the director could save it. Ooh. The director has worked on the same movies that the other writer has worked on. Look, hear me out. Hopefully, okay, I'm scared. I'm not gonna lie.
telling me stuff. Stop telling me
Kind of
stuff.
afraid. Everything I say makes it worse.
Stop telling me stuff. Stop telling me stuff.
Everything I say makes it worse. You know who was a producer on the Mortal Kombat movie that would have made a far better Mortal Kombat movie?
Who?
I'm so mad I forgot his name, a comedian. Hold on, let me scroll down. James Wan, Aquaman, Saw. So he knows how to do gore because of Saw. He knows how to do action, Aquaman. He knows how to do a little bit of horror from he worked on I think it was Insidious, or it was one of those paranormal, I think it was Paranormal Activity. It was one of those movies. So it's like this dude knows what he's doing when it comes to action, gore, a little bit of horror. I feel like James Wan would have been the perfect director and writer on this movie, but he was unfortunately just a producer. But I feel like if James Wan made this movie, it would have been 1,000 times better. But let's talk about the movie. Let's get into it. We got like 10 minutes. We'll probably go a little 10 minutes longer. Like the cap is really an hour 30. I try to go 20 though, but so we'll definitely be going an extra 20 minutes because there's a lot to talk about. You want to go? Because I've been talking a lot. And you got a list. Come on, pull out your notes. Let's go.
I gotta pull out. Give me a sec. Yeah, this movie was so bad that 10 minutes in, I actually started taking notes about this movie because I was like, I'm gonna want to watch. I want to talk about this. All right, so the acting. First of all, the acting is only good with Sub-Zero, Jax, Kano, Cole, and Sonya. That's about it. That's 5 characters out of a movie packed with characters.
Out of 13. I mean, no,
out of 13.
There are 16 characters.
Out of 16.
The reason I know there are 16 characters because I was counting how many characters were in the movie so I could make my own list of what characters should have been in the movie.
Yeah, so out of 16 characters, 5 of them are the only ones with good acting, and one of them isn't even a character in the games. Like, you could have taken Cole out of the movie and nothing would have changed about the entire movie at all. And he's one of the only characters he's one of the only good actors. One of the good things about the movie is that Kano, Sonya, and Cole, anytime they were on screen together, you could tell they were having fun. Yes. And like when actors have fun, you have fun. Like
especially Kano is having so much fun.
Kano was the best part of the movie. Kano was the best.
He was like aggressively and painfully Australian. It was so good.
It was so. I love Kano. Like I'm really mad. I genuinely kind of want to go back and rewatch the movie just for Kano, but like I don't want to.
My little brother came over and he was watching it, and I was in the bathroom and I heard him start laughing, and I heard some of what was happening, and I know exactly what scene he was laughing at. It was when Liu Kang first showed up and he touches Kano's shoulder. That scene was hilarious.
Yeah. Oh my, Kano was perfect. He was like and like they still messed up a lot about Kano, but like Kano was, I like Kano in that movie. Cole, another one of those is why was Cole there anyway? Cole was literally a pointless character the entire movie. Liu Kang is the main character. Liu Kang is one of the 3 main characters of the series, but specifically the tournament arc, he is supposed to be the main character. He only shows up 40 minutes in and has like 20 lines of dialogue.
Yeah, for me, I don't think, much like how the games kind of do it, I don't think the movie necessarily needed to focus on one person, and it kind of didn't. It focused on Cole more than anybody else. Yeah. But I don't think it necessarily needed to focus on anybody. If anything, if it focused on Scorpion a little bit more, I wouldn't have been mad. But
Scorpion's Revenge. That would literally just be Mortal Kombat Scorpion's Revenge, which is the animated movie.
But like, I think that there was a way for Cole to work. I just don't think he should have been a main character. I think here's the thing though. I'm not mad at the existence of Cole. I'm mad at how he was used and just what type of character he was to begin with. I want you to go down your list before I start talking because I want you to set up the points and then we'll talk more in detail what they are.
Okay. So yeah, Liu Kang's the main character of the tournament arc. He shows up 40 minutes in, has 20 lines of dialogue, is changed from a confident, literal chosen one into an insecure. The acting is bad. The CGI and costumes are worse. Liu Kang was played by the worst actor in the film, which hurts terribly because I like the guy. He's a cool guy, but he cannot act.
The first and only other thing I've ever seen him in was in an episode of Black Mirror called Striking Vipers. that also coincidentally has Anthony Mackie in it. And we also mentioned Aquaman. It had Yahya Abdul Mateen the third in it, the second in it as well. So yeah, that's
he acted better in that than he did in Mortal Kombat.
He didn't really have to act much. All he had to do really was fight.
Okay.
He had to fight and have sex. That was it.
Okay. Shang Tsung's wig and acting were like CW levels of bad.
Oh my god. They could have just brought back the original actor. Because anybody who plays the games knows that Shang Tsung is usually old, but he becomes young by absorbing people's souls. So what they could have done is they didn't have enough money to make a CGI version of him for when he gets younger. You hire another actor who looks close enough like him so that and this only needs to happen at the very end of the movie. He could stay old for the entire movie. And then at the very end, he absorbs somebody's or like some souls, enough souls to get young again. And then he fights Liu Kang.
Honestly, and I don't even think they really need to make him young since this movie didn't include the tournament whatsoever. This movie ended like a month before the actual tournament begins. They didn't even need to make him young in this movie.
Yep.
They could have just hired the original actor. The original actor is Shang Tsung, essentially. Like, he's so influential as Shang Tsung.
He's such a good Shang Tsung that everybody else looks bad compared to him.
Yeah, like the choreography. No, I put the choreography was really bad, but now that you mentioned it, it's not specifically the choreography. Although I think the choreography could have been way better, but the choreography the editing in the fight scenes are horrible. Over half the cast are real martial artists in real life.
Yeah.
Do nothing with that. Are you serious right now?
They literally, in my opinion, I think it's disrespectful to these actors who can actually fight for you to not show them fighting because you cut away every 5 seconds. It's like, bro, they know what they're doing. Why are you cutting so much? And that's a testament to the fact that the people working on this movie, and pun completely intended, are complete and total noobs at what they're doing.
They really are. The green screen backgrounds. I don't know if you noticed the green screen backgrounds. I noticed the green screen.
This is the one thing I would disagree with you on. I don't think the effects and costumes were that bad. My least favorite part about the costumes is specifically on Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Their masks were far too big for their faces. I think that the masks were probably made before they even hired the actors. I think they just made a one-size-fits-all mask for anybody to wear. I think that's what happened, and that's why the mask is so big. It's not fitted to their faces specifically. I think that the CGI you compared it to CW, I don't think it's anywhere near CW level. I think it's better than CW. Even if just barely, it's better than CW. And also, they only had $95 million. They didn't have the biggest budget, so they did what they could with what they had.
Okay, so here's the thing, right?
The ice looked great.
But that's like...
I think Goro looked good. You don't. I think he did.
No, I think Goro looked fine. I think that the actual animatronic was more impressive from the 95 movie.
I mean, but it's cheaper. It's cheaper to do CGI.
Yeah. So here's my thing, right? Now, I don't know if you noticed this, but I noticed this. If you go and rewatch the beginning of the movie when Raiden is walking away after he picks up Scorpion's kunai, the forest is not a forest. That's a green screen background.
I didn't notice it, no. I noticed. I think the rain kind of masked that for me personally.
I noticed that almost instantly. If you look
I was watching it on like a big ass 4K TV, so I don't know. I didn't notice it.
if you look at the ground that Raiden is walking on, and then you look at like what's in front of him, and you can tell that is a green screen background. What I don't understand is the fact that fan films film in forests, but a multi-billion-dollar budgeted movie can't film in a forest for free. That makes no sense to me. That didn't make sense to me at all. Raiden was a mess of a character. Raiden was like the most inconsistent, like, he started out as just like a complete and total a-hole for no reason. Like, he was like, oh, these are the champions you brought me. So, do you want to choose the champions like how you were supposed to choose the champions?
Yeah, it was so weird. I think he didn't laugh enough, but no. The Highlander laughed. His laugh was so funny. Like, It was so funny that I can't even be mad. I think he was the worst part of that original movie, but his laugh made up for it. Because every 5 seconds he was just it was so good.
In like the most like serious tense moments, like you see Johnny, Sonya, and Liu Kang about to get killed. He just walks in. Now stand down, everyone. Like,
my
bro.
my second favorite line that anybody says in that movie is when Johnny Cage tries to shadow kick Scorpion. He teleports him to hell, and Johnny's just standing there, and Scorpion pops up behind him and goes, "Welcome." It was so funny. Why did he say welcome? I don't know, and I don't really care because it was hilarious.
That's my problem. The 95 movie does it better because they know the concept was ridiculous and they don't take themselves too seriously. Like, and everybody in that movie.
What makes it worse is that they didn't have much to pull from back then.
They didn't, because it was like 3 games? Maybe 2 games. I don't even think the third game was released. I think the third game released like simultaneously with the movie. Like, they only had 2 games to pull from. This movie it had 11 games and multiple side games and multiple comics to pull from at this point. Really, this is the best you can do?
I think, like I said, how I was looking at the cast list because I wanted to see what would I do if I had to choose which characters get to be in this movie. I think that they chose some weird characters being in this movie. Some characters I get because they kind of just they're godly.
Yeah.
Some characters were literally there just to die, so I get some of those characters. But it's like, why do we have Melina, but we've never seen Katana yet? Also,
why is Melina
I don't usually get mad at characters being a different race, but the reason I have a problem with this one is because Katana's Asian and Melina looks just like Katana. The same actress should be playing Melina that's playing Katana. Because
if I'm not mistaken, Melina's either her clone or her twin.
Melina is her clone mixed with Tarkatan DNA.
Yeah.
So the same actor or like someone who looks close enough like the actress should be playing. Well, even then, when they do stuff like that where the same actress plays the same character, when they're both on screen at the same time, there's another person playing that character. Right. But also something that was so unnecessary that I didn't even realize until someone pointed out when I was watching a reaction is that I was watching a review is that Melina in that movie at the end, she finally reveals her teeth. She rips her jaw open. That was a waste of money and CGI. The reason is because she could have just been wearing a mask like she does in the games and the comics until the very end where she reveals her teeth. She could have just been wearing a mask. Instead, she had grape jelly smeared on her face the entire time. She could have just been wearing a mask, and then at the end, she reveals her CGI teeth.
Yeah, bro.
Like these people did not know what they were doing. They did not know what they were doing. They, in my opinion, I think they low-key kind of just disrespected the source material. They had no respect for it. I want to talk about why I think that Cole could have been okay.
Okay.
The reason I think Cole could have been okay is because I think he could have just been I think he could have been made an interesting character with just better writing. Overall, he could have just been made an interesting character, and he also didn't need to be the main character. And that is contingent upon this movie actually having a tournament in it. But because it didn't actually have a tournament, Cole didn't need to be here.
One of my notes is literally I'm over halfway through the movie. The tournament hasn't started. Like,
and here's because we're running long time. We have like 5 minutes left. I want to talk about. We need to talk about the Arcana before we end this podcast.
That was actually my next note.
Arcana is, I think, the biggest mistake they made in this movie, and the reason is, one, it takes up too much time in the movie because they have to train. And when you have a story that's about fighters being collected for a tournament, the idea is that they already know how to fight. You don't need to teach them how to fight. You chose these people. These people were chosen because they are the best fighters in the world. So they don't need to be trained again. And it's also disrespectful to the audience. You're insulting their intelligence. Like, we won't be able to just go, okay, there's magic in this world. We can tell there's magic in this world because this dude just teleported with a lightning bolt and this dude can shoot fire out of his hands. my mind's gonna go, okay, I guess there's magic because this dude can create ice from his hands. You don't have to explain that magic. Magic just exists. You made it obvious by the fact that people are using magic. You don't have to explain it. We get it. And you also made it obvious that another dimension exists because that was said out loud. And you also made it obvious that monsters exist by just showing that there were monsters. You don't have to explain these things. They're obvious from just watching. So therefore they wasted 30 minutes, of, like 20 minutes of this movie on training that was so unnecessary.
It really makes me mad because of the fact that characters, what makes me really mad, right? Sonya Blade's whole thing, right, is one of the reasons I like Sonya Blade so much is she reminds me of like how fans think about Batman. Is they're all like, oh, Batman can be anyone with prep time, but it's like Sonya kind of can because like she's so much beneath everyone else in terms of like power, but her technology from being special forces backs her up. She doesn't have to be in this movie. You don't even know if she's special forces in this movie.
Yeah, you don't.
She beats pink rings out of her hands. Like,
yeah, it's like, bro, both her and Jax, it would have took nothing for Jax to have been picked up by the military, taken to a hospital, and given some like experimental new technology arms that they just invented, and he's the first person to ever use them. And then Sonya's given these wrist gauntlets that could shoot lasers out of them because they know that she's about to be fighting people that could freeze people's arms off. So she needs a bit more firepower. So they give her these gauntlets. See how I came up with that explanation literally off the top of my head? I did not come up with that beforehand. I literally just made that up. And that's better than what they did.
See, what I had thought of is they didn't even need to do that. Jax, of course, the military can give Jax his arms. That I agree with that. My thing is, Sonya doesn't even need an explanation for just getting the gauntlet. She could have had the gauntlet the entire movie and just not said anything about him, and I wouldn't have blinked an eye.
There are some things that just don't need to be explained. Sometimes you can just show it to us and we'll get the idea. Show, don't tell. That's literally it. Show, don't tell. Also, and I feel like this movie has some constraints on it. Definitely. Because otherwise, this movie should have been like 2 hours and 30 minutes. And the entire movie, and like the last 2 hours should have just been the tournament. Like the first 30 minutes or 45 minutes even set up. It's Raiden, Liu Kang going around and collecting the warriors for Earthrealm. And then we go to Shang Tsung's island, and then the tournament starts. And well, of course we get introduced to more characters and the tournament starts. And I also think it would have been we haven't talked about it yet, but naturally Johnny Cage should have been in this movie.
Yes,
he is the heart and soul of Mortal Kombat.
It would have cost them nothing for them to put Johnny in the movie. Not a single thing. They could have taken Cole out entirely and just replaced him with Johnny. There was no point in Cole being there whatsoever.
Definitely. I think also was it The Miz, the wrestler, wants to play Johnny Cage. And I don't know if you know what The Miz is, but
I know.
He literally is just straight up, he is Johnny Cage. Like his entire persona, he literally has his name. He has his name tattooed across his chest like Johnny Cage. I'm pretty sure he literally got that from Johnny Cage. Everything about his wrestler persona is Johnny Cage. And people say that he was in a movie and he isn't the best actor. And the reason I think that doesn't matter is because I don't know if he's acting when because, wrestlers are essentially actors. I don't know if he's acting when he's pretending to be that character, but if he is, he does a pretty good job. And if he just brings that same energy to a Mortal Kombat movie, he'll be perfect because Johnny is over the top. That's just what he is. So he doesn't need to play that down or try to be like this Oscar-worthy actor. He just needs to be Johnny Cage. He needs to just be the Miz.
Yeah, he's that bro.
He looks like him too. he just. I literally had to look, and he has the physicality. He knows how to fight. He could probably. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be too hard for him to learn some martial arts. He already has a basis in wrestling. Like he could do it.
Literally, like as you were saying that, I was like, "Yo, then this would work." My only fear was like, "Oh, he might be a little too old now."
Yeah, that was my fear. I was like, he might be a little too old, but I mean, he doesn't look.
He literally looks the exact same age.
Like, yeah, like
now that
he's basically already a stunt performer because of wrestling. So it's like he probably do a lot of his own stunts as well. It's like he would be perfect. And I think it's already basically been confirmed that, at the end they showed Johnny Cage is coming. I wanted to be the Miz. I wanted to be the Miz so bad.
That'd be fire. My thing, right?
Talk about how Cole Young's Arcana was literally plot armor.
It's plot armor personified, dude. What?
It was literally plot armor.
Yo. It's funny too, because one of the things I wrote down in my notes was like, what is Cole's Arcana? Like after it came out, I was like, what is this? Because it has, unlike everybody else's, like
it was supposed to be the bracelet from his daughter turned into armor. And also no. It was also because he got beat up all the time. So his Arcana was literally to get beat up and then redirect that energy back at him like Black Panther.
I did see that, but like my whole thing was like everybody else's Arcana. My problems with Arcana aside, everybody else's Arcana was clearly defined. Jax's Arcana were his arms. Liu Kang's Arcana was his fire. Sonya's Arcana was her blast. His Arcana was so inconsistent because at first he's able to like tank blows from Goro, and then he's suddenly being like thrown through walls. I'm like, that doesn't.
Another thing about it is that Arcana, they made it seem like the Arcana were tied to their personalities, when literally they aren't. The Arcana were literally just an excuse for them to have the abilities that they have in the game, which, like I've said 1,000 times, didn't need to be excused at all.
It's so stupid.
Yeah, it was weird.
Not to mention the fact that a lot of characters that do have powers, like Liu Kang, you could have never had Liu Kang shoot. And there's a YouTuber, you might have seen him. His name is Jeremy Johns. He did a review on Mortal Kombat that he mentioned. He was like, you could have had Liu Kang not shoot fire whatsoever, and I would not have blinked a second. I would not have.
Would have, because it's literally one of his most it's like his most popular move. Like to have Liu Kang not shoot a fireball is like to have Kung Lao not throw his hat. Like he has to shoot a fireball, bro. But like in the original movie, he ended up, even though it was at the very end, he shot fire from his hands.
Yeah, but it was like that was the very end. I wouldn't have blinked an eye. Like I would not have, like, as long as they have like the bicycle kick, which they did have. Like I really wouldn't have blinked an eye. Like, I would
have been upset if on top of every bad thing in this movie, he also didn't have fire. I would have been so upset.
I wouldn't, but I understand why you would. I personally wouldn't. I would have been like, okay, like whatever. Like, but like
you said, the dude from Warrior probably would have been a better choice.
Honestly, they didn't even need to cast anybody else. What they could have done. They could have had, and I've seen so many other people say the same thing. I'm so happy because I mentioned this to you like the day that it came out, and you texted me and you were like, I thought you were exaggerating. No, I was not exaggerating with how bad the movie was. But I texted you like the exact same day. I was like, they should have just had Louis Tan, who plays Cole Young. They should have just cast him as Liu Kang, and they should have just followed like the main plot of like the first game. Like, that would have been fine. Instead, they make up this entire plot out of nowhere. Like they're like, oh well, literally, it would not have been hard, right? Liu Kang is raised in the Temple of Light his entire life. He meets Raiden. He didn't believe Raiden existed, but he meets Raiden. Raiden's like, you're the chosen one. Liu Kang's like, you know what? I'm kind of skeptical about this, but whatever. Let's go ahead and I'll follow you to this tournament. Johnny winds up falling into the tournament on accident, or not on accident. He was going on purpose, but he didn't know what it was. But Johnny falls into the tournament because he wants to save his whatchamacallit.
He wants to prove that he's an actual fighter. That's the reason.
Yeah, he wants to save his career. And Sonya literally accidentally falls into the tournament because she's looking for revenge on Kano, who's already at the tournament. It's not that hard. That's
the thing. I think if they wanted to not have too big of a cast, just go with the characters from the first game. Kano, Sonya, Johnny, Liu Kang, Kano, Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Raiden, Shang Tsung, Goro, and Reptile.
It's not that hard.
And then maybe throw in a couple random Tarkatans or something like that to get beat up and killed in the tournament. But like, I won't say it's not that hard because, it's, there's a lot more that goes into it. I won't say it's not hard, but it's not hard. They were new. They didn't know what they were doing. Why would you give Mortal Kombat to these new people? Okay, we got it. We got in this, bro. Because we went a little overtime. I let it go overtime because I felt like there was so much more we need to talk about. We'll probably talk a little bit more about it next episode if we have more. But next episode we'll probably we're definitely going to get in spoiler territory on Invincible, the comic and the show. The last episode will be out. We both read all of the comic. It's so good. But you know, of course, I'm Dijon Mustard. You have my Instagrams all below me. Amir's below him, along with the Instagram for the Mustardcast. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more storytelling content, and to click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. Peace.